It is being reported that a U.S. airman has lit himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. Now, this is not the first time the Israeli embassy has dealt with protest or significant rallies to try and persuade Israel to stop the war against Hamas and the Palestinian territories, but nonetheless, this might be the strongest attempt or biggest attempt at getting global news, especially a U.S. service member, an Air Force member, lighting himself on fire. And there are some unconfirmed reports he did it and yelled out, "I will not stand for this genocide," and hashtag Free Palestine. So let's go ahead and dig into this and see what exactly is going on at the time of making this video. Now, this is according to the DC Fire and EMS. The man was transported to an area hospital after the fire was put out by U.S. Secret Service officers. Could you imagine being the Secret Service and all of a sudden you look over and somebody has lit themselves on fire? I mean, I could not imagine seeing that, but again, that is what happened. And apparently, the man remains in critical condition at the time of making this video, a Metropolitan Police Department spokesperson said Sunday afternoon. Now, an Air Force spokesperson said that it is confirmed that this is an active duty airman. Again, active duty airman. So there are a lot of issues here. I mean, breaking a lot of rules, obviously, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but also this man might pass away because of his wounds. Again, he is in critical condition at the time of making this video. Again, this is unconfirmed information, but this is from open source intelligence that the man yelled, "I will no longer be complicit in genocide," as well as Free Palestine. So that is all we know right now. Again, it is confirmed that he is an airman, it is confirmed that he is active service, and it is confirmed that he is in critical condition at the time of making this video. It is not confirmed that he yelled all of those things, but again, you can make the implication and educated guess for somebody to light themselves on fire outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., where many other protests happen. Again, it's not that crazy for somebody to do this because he's doing it in support of Palestine. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the implications here. First things first, obviously, this is a protest, but the issue is this. For anybody who doesn't realize, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is also known as a UCMJ, he is under a different set of laws. It's not that anyone in uniform cannot be in a political party or cannot show their interest in anything political, but if you do it in uniform, that is illegal under UCMJ. There's many other levels to this that you need to understand. When you are active duty, anytime you want to travel somewhere or go somewhere, you do have to put in something called your pass. Depending on if this airman does live in the area, he might be okay with it, but you need to understand this because I'm trying to cover all the bases here. There's a saying in the military that says crap rolls downhill. The fact that he may be doing this and nobody knows about his well-being or his leadership doesn't know where he's at, they can get in trouble as well. Again, I know that sounds crazy and that sounds ludicrous because he's the one who lit himself on fire, but this is simply how the military works. If you didn't know that your airman is about to do something crazy and there were some signs leading up to it, it wouldn't be that out of the question for some of the leadership to get in trouble because of this. Now, there is a very gray line on what you can and can't do while in uniform. I mean, I know speaking from the U.S. Army's perspective, I mean, you almost can't even go to the grocery store in uniform. So again, it's extremely frowned upon and illegal under the Uniform Code of Military Justice to perform or be a part of something such as lighting your uniform on fire. I mean, that's also destruction of government property as I speak about this. Now, best case scenario for this airman is that he survives his wounds and condition. And to be fair, I hope he does. As a human being, I would like to see him, you know, be okay. Because as a U.S. citizen, you do have the right to protest, but under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you don't have the right to protest. Now, I'm also going to throw this out there, and this is what kind of annoys me, is that when you are in uniform, you're bringing all of the attention to yourself, but that's not what he's doing. It's not him. It's the Air Force now that looks bad. And something else that you need to understand is that if you're going to protest, that's great. I think many people will agree you have the right to protest, whether or not you agree with the Free Palestine movement or you're on Israel's side. But here's what actually really ticks me off is the fact that now he did something he wasn't supposed to do, and that protest led him to getting EMS, fire department involved, and the Secret Service involved, thus other Americans who may be actually suffering from maybe a heart attack or security in the area now is down because of him. Again, he's sort of screwing over his fellow Americans because he has his own agenda and he's taking his own route. Now again, please understand this. You have to know where I'm coming from. I speak in terms of the US military, and I 100% support that you should be able to protest. We need to be able to protest. It's in the Constitution, and look, from a US military service member's perspective, or veteran, that is what veterans have fought for. That is what veterans have laid their life down for, to protect the Constitution and give civilians the right to protest. However, when you do it in uniform, you destroy all of that, and you embarrass the US military, regardless whether or not you are so pro-Palestine. That's great, you can do that. But again, this is not the way to do things, and I bet many of you would agree who are in support of Palestine and you are an American citizen, this is a terrible look and a very bad way to do it. Because again, you're taking away from the ambulance crews, the fire crews who could be helping other Americans in the region or area. Now again, this is pure speculation. If I had to take a guess, I am going to take a guess that this airman must be doing what the Buddhist monk did in Vietnam, where if you are unaware, I can't even show the picture on this video, there was a monk who went ahead and lit himself on fire. It's one of the most famous still images and videos in Vietnam history and military history and geopolitical history, where a monk lit himself on fire to stop the war in Vietnam. But again, that to me is a totally different thing. The monk lived in Vietnam. He was a religious leader. He wasn't in uniform, so he's not under that same law. Again, when you are in uniform, you are absolutely disrespecting your uniform, you're disrespecting those around you, and again, this might be one of the biggest embarrassments for the Air Force in a long time. And again, please remember, you have the right to protest, but you don't have the right to protest in uniform. This is a use and abuse of the uniform, and it's a use and abuse of the service members who came before him to fight for his constitutional law, and he's essentially just spitting in their faces. But again, back to the main point, if I had to take a guess, he's doing what brought a lot of eyes and attention over to that Buddhist monk, but I see that in a totally different sense. But maybe you guys will disagree, maybe you guys will agree. My job here is to give you guys the news, and this is what we know so far. I don't want to speculate too hard and go too much in that unconfirmed reporting. Again, whether or not he yelled "Free Palestine" or whether or not he said we need to end this war, that is totally irrelevant. Again, one of the main reasons I'm also making this video is to show you the perspective of what happens when a member in uniform does something like this. Now, obviously, this is on a whole new level of lighting yourself on fire, regardless if you are in uniform or not in uniform, is going to bring a lot of attention towards you. But the fact that he did it in uniform is a whole nother level because, again, it brings all the eyes on you. To me, it's a massive disgrace. And I will say I do respect and understand the passion to want to protest, especially from the American perspective. This is what makes America great. This is what makes America unique. But what also makes America unique is the distinction between uniform and the politics. They have to stay separate. Because right now you can see the fact that this guy is an airman, it's bringing a lot more attention to him. He's using and abusing this status, and who knows, maybe this guy had even worse intentions. So that is the story. Let me know what you guys think down below. I apologize. This is sort of a short video. I'm stuttering a little bit, but this is like breaking news right now. So we'll see you guys later. That's the story.